One of my favorite professional Hearthstone players slash married red pill guys, and you guys are all gonna get it. Welcome to the Mids Watch. It's good to see you. I'm gonna give you and introducing a new character to this season of married red pill Game of Thrones. This is Sepean, Sepean. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I've only ever seen it written. He has probably had to put up with the biggest ad hominem character attack within the red pill. He had the entire internet shitting on him for months based on his map. So when I see one of his reports pop up, it always fills me with joy because I can tell you right now, he did it right, he did it well, and he did not care about being the villain in somebody else's story. So you're going to see some back and forth between him and the regular players. If you don't know his situation, I don't know if he'll go into details here, but it's 3 kids. Third one was definitely not his choice, and him and a wife, he's running dread. Basically trying to establish that like his boundaries are sacrosanct. He's willing to nuke his family over it. Anyways, this is really early on in it. The wife is leaving tomorrow on a business trip for 2 days. She's been sweet and sexy the past week, and I was looking forward to fucking her before we left. So in bed, she starts testing me bad. Stuff like I wasn't jealous enough, so I didn't love her. How could I react if she was with another man? Would I be mad or sad? And part of me is going like, Jesus, she's just gonna ruin this. But like, he's like, you know what? Red pill me, stayed in control. I was not sure if they were shit tests or comfort tests, but I treated them like shit tests. Last night before she's going away, I'm not risking going beta on a shit test and failing and not having sex. So I agree and amplify. I ignore some of the stupid stuff, except for the first time she asked how I would react if she cheated, where I said what she'd find that was a very bad idea. A shit grin on his face and her eyes shooting lightning at him, and she rolls into how she was unsure of his feelings and how he wasn't replying to her texts and etc. He's like, I wasn't handling this stuff flawlessly. I'm not great at coming up with good responses, but I was holding frame, and I continued with, baby, that's silly. I effing love you. Pulling off her pants, she complains I only love her for the sex, runs my finger over her waist and hip, and say, I love that part of you too. And anyways, he does some other stuff. I won't get too graphic on this one. But he notices, like, she's really into it halfway through what he's doing here. And he's like, oh, that's a relief. So yeah, don't listen to what she says, just listen to what she does. I find that absolutely funny, by the way. Sitting there having what sounds like a normal argument. You don't love me. You don't love me. I can't believe you would do that. You're a dick. You're an ass. And then he's getting ready and he's like, oh, no, you're ready as hell. Yeah, ignore the words, man. And the sex was great. The wife had some insecurities with her body and she's never been comfortable with some stuff. But tonight I got her on all fours and did more stuff. A lot more stuff. I'll skip the details and we'll just move on from that. And he's like, this place is awesome. So, a lot of guys are wondering about this, that, and the other thing, trying to poke at it. They're like, did you read Sex God Method? I've had it on the sidebar series. I think it's Daniel Rose. Talks about Debbie. He's like, yeah, I read it, and it's that stuff that's working. The jealousy stuff is something she's brought up before. Her dad is screaming jealous, and I think she had a boyfriend like that too, so she gets insecure if I don't go ape just because some guy oogles her. Her insecurities flare up when we get intimate, and she's afraid of opening up, makes her very hostile as she seeks to get into a more comfortable distance. I think that's the case of her nuclear level shit test and comfort test. He's like, I don't know which one they are. I just know they started out as comfort tests. But let's say she was thinking about cheating. What should I do? I'm sure my frame is solid. She wants to be smashed these days, and she's complaining she's unsure of me, so do I assure her I love her? Like, I don't get it. And then, Jack comes back. He's like, oh, okay. So he's like, this comment ended pretty damn long. So I want to propose a theory, and I hate this term, but he calls it hypogamy. Branch swinging to a better mate, but defining better for them as worse than the guy they're with now. And then I suggest why guys like Sepean's wife, a woman with a combination of insecurity and low self-worth plus expectations that expressions of love are emotionally charged, would be prone to doing this. So buckle your seatbelts. And if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, practical female psychology. We had a section in there about high libido or high self-esteem, low self-esteem, and sex drives, and that's right in the middle, like chapter 7 in that. If you're confused about the terminology, I would suggest you go back to there and see what we're talking about so you can get caught up. But briefly put, it's not an archetype. It's just if somebody acts with low self-esteem and a high sex drive, you tend to get different behaviors than high self-esteem and low sex drives, right? And he brings up the old-fashioned blue pill professor. You know, if your wife is asking about what she would do if she cheated, that means she's thinking about cheating. And he goes, you're right, but it may not just be the branch-swinging hypergamy at play here. I mean, well, it is, but it may need to be handled differently than be so goddamn alpha and badass that any guy she could possibly cheat on you with would clearly be inferior. And he's like, yeah, so Sepin's wife has some insecurities, and he's mentioned mentioned them several times. Maybe they're overtly physical, but I've rarely seen physical insecurities that weren't paired with an overall negative self-image. And somebody with deep-seated insecurities probably means she's prone to self-destructive behavior. They can't be happy and confident in good circumstances. They're too insecure to let themselves feel secure. So his wife may be hamstering. I have a great husband. Do I deserve a great husband? How am I offering him? I can't possibly be offering him enough. He probably hates me. I bet he does. Is he cheating on me? I'd cheat on me. You know, and then Sepin's like, you know, talking about the dad and the brother, and he's like, click. And now, apparently she grew up in an environment where jealousy equals love. Do you guys remember the early episode where I talk about how a girl's father is the only man in her life that she seeks validation from and without sex? It's right here. So you see that. So if like jealousy equals love, and that's how she learned about her value in a relationship from her dad, it's no wonder that that's how she's projecting this here. Plus having a boyfriend reinforces she clearly looks for this kind of stuff. So if you're not jealous, that means you don't love her enough to care and let yourself be jealous. Extreme jealousy is communicated with extreme emotion. And this is what she was raised with. So why do you think she has a boyfriend like that? Of course, because she was going to pursue relationships modeled after her own dad. This is what we all do by default until we obtain the self-awareness to do otherwise, and some people never really do. I would argue here that most people never really do, but hopefully you learn from this stuff so you don't become the mirror image of your dad or your mom, which you probably can't stand. Matt had no friends and was worried he wouldn't have a good bachelor party. So he's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, all right. So red pill concepts like maintaining frame and stoicism are all about keeping your cool. Don't lose your shit. Don't scream. Don't yell. Don't whine. Just act. Great advice, but there may be some more needed with somebody like your wife. Her, what if I cheated shit test are a sort of comfort test. She's asking, do you love me enough to be enraged if you found out I cheated? I don't think she actually wants to cheat. I think what she wants to do is open a window to an alternate reality where she does cheat, and she can watch you react and hope you do things like smash your phone on the ground and punch a hole in the wall. And then she could conclude, yeah, well, he loves me. I may not understand why, but he does, and I won't actually need to do all this then. But she can't do that. And her insecurities may make her self-destructive enough to actually cheat. She'll go with some co-workers or friends, some loser will hit on her, but she's insecure enough that overt attraction with another guy will make her feel good, so she'll entertain him. They'll talk, he'll buy a drink, eventually he's imagining like an angel and a devil hamster dancing around her on either side, trying to get her to do stuff. I'm gonna skip that. In a way, it's like branch swinging. Hypogamy. Oh, I hate that word. Really do think it's a thing. Look at Hollywood. You have an industry that attracts, if not outright manufacturing, emotionally damaged women, many who have to constantly battle deep-seated insecurities while externally telling everybody how great and beautiful they are. So you get little shit like Britney Spears cheating on Justin Timberlake or her recent nonsense. It's still branch swinging to a better mate, it's just that they define better for them as worse for you. So I'm gonna pause here and just have you guys register this. So like, MGTOWs love this shit, so they're like, oh, why would I put up with this nonsense? It's like, look, you're in the situation you are now. You want to understand game. Here's the weird part about game. I wish I could remember where it came from. I got source amnesia now, but there was some research done into like abused women and why they keep going back to their captors or whatever they called it at the time. And predominantly, the reason a lot of these, wink, wink, damaged women went back was because, and I quote from the thing here, it's that when he beats me, it means I know he loves me. Now that's an extreme example, but just realize it's going to happen in at least one of your relationships where you got a girl who's got deep-seated insecurities. She's had parenting strategies that have really raised her to think some weird things that mean love, usually from parents, mostly from fathers, or absent a father, a really shitty stepfather, or Uncle Touchy. So in her case, it could be something like this one here, where dad was extremely jealous, so she saw Like, dad loves me and he loves mom, and that's why he gets really mad. And then she kind of makes that association in her head. So she looks for men that extremely get jealous, goads them into being jealous, and then gets extremely aroused from it, right? She ends up a C-Peen who at the time I think was more of like a beta bucks, but he's got his shit together. And it's for her, she just needs you to be a complete ass, an over-emotional asshole at times, because that's how she knows. Now, you can guide a girl into knowing what your love signals are, but realize when it comes to feelings, it's a hard road to go down. So you have to make a big choice. It's like, so I know what, and this is the weirdest thing, it almost sounds like I'm talking about her love language, except for like their love language are always goofy shit, like her love language is touching, her love language is feeling. I'm like, well, this one's love language is daddy issues. Daddy issues. Her love language is extreme jealousy. Her love language is punching a hole through the drywall. Now, you see, after seeing this, when I talk about manufactured outrage, it's stuff like this that it's for, because you can end up in two scenarios. You can end up where you take a more of a leadership role with any Devi from the emotionally charged stuff, because Sex God Method, which again, great read, part of the sidebar, worth looking into. And I think I used it on the sidebar so far. If it's not there yet, it will be soon. You can either wait until it's 2 days away from a business trip and then the wife starts arguing about, are you jealous if I cheated on you? Or you can take a more proactive role, start picking fights and making these scenarios and building this imaginary world. And then it's almost like role-playing being an asshole husband, because that's what the wife knows. And then all you have to do is, like, slowly over time, just stop using that crutch when you don't need to anymore and start using your own expressions of joy and love. And after 500-600 times having sex with you, they get those good feelings when you do good things. You're basically conditioning your wife not to act like a damaged wife. Now, I don't agree with it. A lot of guys in here were talking about dealing with their anxious avoidant wives. For me, I'm always like, you know what? Lay your boundaries out, and if she can't fit the bill, just get out of there. That's my thought on it. But again, I'm not in your life. I don't get to pick. Some of you guys like this stuff. Some guys like the challenge, so whatever. Do with this information what you want. Oh, the last thing I will say on this. So a lot of those times, like, you see a lot of guys whose wives cheated on them in here, and it was never with a better man. It was always with some guy. He's like, there's nothing about this guy better than me. He's fat. He's unattractive. He's broke. You know, he's just got a prison. Like, there's nothing good about him. And for a lot of these guys, they're women. They don't even need something good or better than you. That's why I always laugh at the MGTOWs with the hypergamy thing. She'll upgrade in a heartbeat for more resources. I'm like, no, man. Sometimes she just wants a guy that's different. And as long as it hurts you more, that's good enough for a lot of these types of things. That's why a lot of guys, I remember that was the report. It wasn't that she cheated on me. It's that she did the things with him that I've always wanted to do, but she never wanted to do. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But again, you know, a lot of girls with some very, very bad parenting strategies. And welcome to the war zone, fellas. The one you picked, here's the war you're in. You don't go to war with what is the Rumsfeld line? You don't go to war with the army you want. You go to the one with the army you have. So you learn this game. You don't have to keep her. You can keep her if you want to, and you find this is manageable and she's providing value any other way, but or not. So some thoughts now for C-Peen. So with that theory presented, fundamentally, I would say the best way forward, wife has to realize she has some fucked up ideas about her own self-worth and love, and she should talk to a pro and get it sorted out. But, well, you've been married long enough to know that that's unlikely to happen, so that advice isn't helpful. So here's what I suggest. In my little dramatization of your wife's inner monologue, if it made it a little anxious, then I would say good. Find ways to channel that anxiety on occasion. Good captains maintain their cool, but they also know a well-timed emotional outburst can have a greater effect. Silence falls over the bridge, then the crew thinks, wow, the captain lost his cool. The captain never loses his cool. This is serious. I've actually done this in my military career before, which is actually funny because it works like a charm on students. I can only see it working good on wives too. I mean, manufactured outrage, right? So you need some dashes of this with the wife, maintain frame, but if she gives you cheating hypotheticals, have a little fun with it. Use words that would imply there'd be severe emotional consequences for both of you, because let's be honest, for all that we stress about outcome independence, finding out your wife cheated on you is probably second only to the death of a loved one in terms of shitty life events. You can let a little of that leak out because that's what she wants to hear. She wants her security in that you love her enough to be emotionally devastated or emotionally angry. It's a stupid, unhealthy way of thinking, but like I said, you can't fix that. All you can really do is modify your behavior slightly, because for somebody like her, the whole "I can't control your actions, only how I respond" message is just too much damn dread, and as I outlined earlier, insecure women sometimes do stupid shit when there's too much dread. So beyond the shit test conversations, I'd say do some light mate guarding as well. We frown over overt mate guarding here, and we should, but all women like it when their silverback gorilla extends his full frame and flexes. Doesn't even need to be in the context of other dudes. Usually, I prefer to do this with my wife when she has a bad customer service experience. I go into the, "No one treats my wife like this. No one puts Kitty in the corner," and raise a bunch of hell. So you want to be smart, though, about doing this. Chewing out some waiter is just going to make you look like a bully, and yelling a lot without accomplishing anything is going to make you look impotent. But if you've done it right, you can solve the problem in a way that gives the emotional expression, and it sounds like she's craving. And C-Pan's like, "Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, you're right on the money with the insecurity. She gets anxious, that kind of stuff." Anyways, he tried it out, and he reported back. "So I tried exactly what you guys talked about. I said, 'I love you, baby. You're so silly to doubt that. Why do you think I get so mad sometimes? I'm normally such a calm guy, but a few times over the years her shit got to me and I'd kick something hard or something like that." And he's like, "I let those old scenarios replay in her head." So it's neat to know he kind of had those jealous spurts too, and we almost stoicked them out of him. But now he has to realize how to use those in a more of a controlled manner. And Jack's like, "Hey, I gotta be honest, this sounds pretty challenging. Too much comfort and she'll pull away because she's hoping to solicit some intense emotions that she'll interpret as you loving her. But if the intense emotion reaction is too harsh, then she'll realize she fucked up with her insecurities, and they hamster her to being worthless and is destined to fuck things up. So she may as well finish the job and torpedo the whole marriage, because she doesn't deserve a guy like you anyway. In the short term, though, she probably likes hearing that you love her, and you just get so mad sometimes, but you probably don't want to reinforce a direct, 'the angrier I am, the more I love you' association," which I think is what that phrase does. And he goes, "I mean, this is the shit that abusive spouses say. The fact that you have to essentially pretend to say shit like this is unfortunate. So just remember that given you described yourself as the one type of guy, I wonder if you can bring more Devi into your everyday life too. A lot of it is about being anything but stoic. So this might be why she said, 'You only love me for the sex.' I think she may be saying, 'You only love me the way I want you to love me during sex.'" I love his answer. He's like, "Well, it is. It is challenging, and it is what I do. The dynamic's a bit different. Fearful avoidant is what he uses to describe it, and I'm not too familiar with the avoidant types other than a broad stroke, so feel free to look into them too." So at this point, he's like, "All right, sounds good. Got a lot to chew on. I'm experimenting a lot with the marriage, how to handle it." So he's going to try this stuff again. So to finish this off, he's looking for a way to manage this between him and the wife. And he realizes she's got, as he describes it, fearful avoidant. Now, it's self-diagnosed and it's, psychological term, so who knows how useful that is. But he understands that extreme jealousy is just how she understands love. It's not how he likes to express it. He's really normally a chill guy. So he has to find out a way, if he wants to keep this relationship going, to practice his game, is not to be an abusive husband, but to play one on TV, which is a weird thing to describe, but you don't get, your girls are attracted to what they're attracted to. I have a feeling this one's probably going to resonate with a lot of guys, and they're not going to like it. And I have a feeling a lot of chicks are going to be mad in the chat, the 7 chicks that read this. But hey, red pill is amoral. Take from this what you can, what works, and ignore what doesn't. So on that note, I'm going to leave you guys to it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.